Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ha-Rekah Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. I also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity. Alright? So today, the Spirit has me in Hebrews chapter 3. I'm just going to take it from the top. It says, "Wherefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling," and that'll be the elect, right? That'll be the men who are pushing this truth, man. It's a heavenly calling that we're doing. Because who called us? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai called us. And now we're out here doing the work, man. It says, "Consider the apostle and the high priest of our profession, Yahweh Shai." See, so whenever we're in this truth, always consider Yahweh Shai, man. Like the Christians, they got a term in the world that says, "What would Jesus do?" You see? So we should consider in all aspects of our ministry and our life, what would Yahweh Shai do? You see? Consider him. Verse 2. "Who was faithful to him that appointed him, as Moses was faithful in all his house." See? So Yahweh Shai was faithful to the one who appointed him. Who appointed him? Yahweh did. Alright? He appoints all the prophets. This is not of our own doing. This is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Isaiah 1 and 5. Actually 1 and... I don't know, you know what? Jeremiah is what I'm looking for. Jeremiah 1 and 5. This says, "Before I formed thee in the belly I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, he chose us before we chose him. You see, he's the one who put the Spirit on us to be a part of this ministry, to call it. He called us. He's the one who called us, like we read in the first verse of Hebrews 3. Alright? Let's get another verse to back it up. Alright? John 15 and 16. "Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you, that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you." He may give it you. Alright? So there is once again proves that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai chooses us, not the other way around. And also, he's given us the names. Alright, we have the names. Unlike these wacky-tacky Hebrew Israelites from a different camps who say we don't have the true name. You see? We do have the name. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the true men of the Lord have the name. Alright? You read about that in John 17:6. "I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word." So manifest means shown. So Yahweh Shai has shown us the name through our elder apostles. You see? And it is a faith thing, but you know, when we start calling on that name, you know, things start happening. You see, for me, my testimony, not just my testimony, I'll say the whole GMS worldwide testimony. You know, once we start calling on that name, well, guess what? The chariots start revealing themselves to us on multiple separate occasions. You see, and that's just one thing. Let's go back to Hebrews 3, and I'm at verse 3. "For this man was counted worthy of more glory than Moses, inasmuch as he who hath builded the house hath more honor than the house." See? So there it is. Yahweh Shai, he's more important than the whole body, man. He's the cornerstone, right? And he's the only one who was worthy. It tells you that in Revelation chapter 5. The whole reason why we understand this truth and we have this knowledge is because Yahweh Shai and what he did for us. You see? So we should be giving him more honor than the entire house of Israel. For every house is builded by some man, but he that built all things is Yahweh the power. And Moses verily was faithful in all his house. See, so Moses was faithful during his time, during his era, during the time of Israel, during the time of Egypt, the Egyptian captivity. Who was the faithful servant? Moses. All right. Who are the faithful servants in our spiritual Egypt? The prophets that you see on the street corners now. You see. Moses was in a different age. He was in a different time, but nonetheless, he was a prophet. Same thing with the men of this truth, pushing this truth on the street corners. Let's get it. Like I say, we always prove everything and discern everything according to the scripture. Wisdom of Solomon 7, and being but one, is talking about wisdom, she can do all things, and remaining in herself. She maketh all things new, and in all ages, entering into holy souls, she maketh them friends of Yahweh and prophets. So I love this verse because it debunks the notion that when people try to say, oh, you guys aren't prophets, you guys aren't teachers of the Lord. Well, guess what? We're holy souls that wisdom has entered into us and made us prophets in all ages, like it says, all right? Moses had his time to prophesy. You know, Yahweh Shai prophesied in his time. And all the prophets had their time, and this is the time of the prophets who are out on the street corners, all right? So for those of you trying to minimize of who we are, and you don't believe who we are, well, hey, you don't believe the scriptures because the scripture says the prophets would be among you in all ages, all right? So let's go to Hebrews 3 and 5. And Moses verily was faithful in all his house as a servant for a testimony of those things which were to be spoken after. See? But Yahweh Shai as a son over his own house, whose house are we, if we hold fast the confidence and the rejoicing of the hope firm unto the end. Right? So we gotta hold the confidence, right? We're confident. We call ourselves the hopeful elect, but at the same time, we're always saying, well, if it's not us, who is it? Who else is fulfilling prophecy? Who else is standing on the street corners with boldness and authority, lifting their voice up like trumpets? You know, besides the men who are actually doing it, you know, in these last days. This is a sign of the end. If you have the prophets on the street corners, you know, coming up in the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, you know that the days are winding down for this place, Babylon, America, what I'm speaking of. See? It says, verse 7, wherefore, as the Holy Spirit saith, today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in provocation, in the day of temptation in the wilderness. See, so this is dealing with that, the day of temptation. What's the day of temptation? What's the hour of temptation? You see? Let's get that verse real quick before I expound on this verse. Hour of temptation. Let's get it real quick. Revelation 3:10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, and to try them that dwell upon the earth. Which that hour of temptation is dealing with that RFID microchip, you know. And that's what it is, man. The hour of temptation. How are you going to endure through that part if you're not diligent, if you're not building your spiritual armor, you know? If you're not sincere, you won't be able to endure, man. Plain and simple. But that's what it's talking about in Hebrews 3:8. You see? Let me write this precept. And read it again. Harden not your hearts as in provocation in the day of the temptation in the wilderness. The wilderness is the wild. America is the wild, the wilderness, right? And why is it wild? Because why? We're not keeping no laws. We're not keeping no statutes. Overall, as a people, we're destroyed, you know? This is the wild, man. It's a parable likened unto the wild or the wilderness. Because why? Because our people are out of order. Verse 9. When your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my works 40 years. Wherefore I was grieved with that generation, and said, they do always err in their heart, or in their mind, and they have not known my ways. And that's the same thing you see happening, right? Because there's never nothing new under the sun. This generation, they err in their mind, right? They think all these things are okay to do. They think all these abominations are no big deal, you know? They think the Messiah, the Hamashiach, they think he's a white man, you know? When indeed, that's blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, you know? So they err in their mind, and they don't know the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But that's why we're set up. Because why? Because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, hey, Yahweh said he was going to send see if I can pull this one up. Let's go back to Jeremiah. Because you're erring right now because you're listening to the devil and his teachings, right? Isa Edom. You're listening to modern Christianity. But Jeremiah 3:15, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, according to my mind, according to the mind of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. See? So you're going to have pastors according to the mind of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and that's what you're seeing manifest right now. Alright, go back to Hebrews 3:11. So I swear in my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest. See, in his wrath, you know. And there's a prayer where he says, I think it was King David that said, please don't destroy me during your wrath, you know. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Well, yeah, let's get it. Because think about that. When Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is pissed, you don't want to be on his hit list, man. No, you want to have your name written in heaven, you know. Psalm 38:1. Let's read it. King David. A psalm of King David to bring to remembrance. O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, rebuke me not in thy wrath, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. See? But he's like, when you're pissed off, hey, just remember me. Don't destroy me. Don't rebuke me. You see? Because why? Because King David, like we should be doing, fearing the Lord, fearing Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know, he's an austere austere, angry, powerful God of vengeance, you see. Let me read it. Verse 12. Take heed, brethren, lest there be any of you an evil mind of unbelief in departing from the living power Yahweh. See? That goes into examining yourself daily. You want to make sure you don't have an evil mind of unbelief, and where does the belief come from? The belief comes from the studying, man. Like Elder Tahar said it the other day. He said at the end of the day, these people don't have faith. And the reason why they don't have faith is because they don't read. They don't study. Let me see. Reminds me of this. So let me get Psalms again for a precept, because what is it that's gonna build your faith? What is it that's gonna convert your soul to, so to speak? You see, it's Revelation. I'm sorry, Psalms 19 and verse 7. The law of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is sure, making wise the simple. Making wise the simple. So before we understood this book, we were simpletons, man. Running around, a lot of people, I'm sure, went out and got tattoos of Jesus Christ because we had a zeal for Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, but not according to knowledge, like it tells you in Romans 10 and 2, you see. But what converts your soul? The law of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is perfect. How do you learn the law of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai? You got to read. You got to study. You got to do the work. And that's what's going to convert your soul, ultimately, building your faith. You see? That's why it says in Revelation, let's get it real quick, 1 and 3, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those sayings which are written therein, for the time is at hand. You see? So you got to read. That's what's going to help you convert your soul. Just like the elder said. He said it in plain English, The reason why you don't have faith is because you don't read, you don't study. Alright? It makes perfect sense. Hebrews, back to Hebrews chapter 3, verse 13. But exhort one another daily, while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. See, so that's another thing. We should be picking up the brothers daily, picking up the house, the body, That's what it is, man. Verse 14. For we are made partakers of Yahushai if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end. You're not going to have no confidence, man, in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, or in this truth or in this knowledge, if you're not doing the work, if you're not on fire, there's a verse that says you can't be lukewarm in this truth, You either be cold or you be on fire. Kind of like, it reminds me of that verse, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. There's no in between, there's no maybe. No, it's either yes or no. It's either hot or cold. Don't go about this ministry half-assed, Verse 15, that's not good enough. If you go in half-assed, the scriptures tell you it's not good enough. Hebrews 3:15, while it is said today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation. For some, when they had heard, did provoke. Howbeit, not all that came out of Egypt by Moses. See? So showing you these 2/3, not all you Israelites are gonna, harden your hearts, harden your minds, to the point where you're gonna reject Esau Edom's RFID microchip. That's what you gotta you got to get yourself to that point where you don't want any good thing, right? The men of the Lord, that's a characteristic. You're not going to want any good thing. Back to Psalms for another precept. Psalm 34 and 10. The young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek Yahweh Bashem Yahushai shall not want any good thing. See? So that's a part of this, is hardening your mind, hardening your heart, right? To the point where you're like, you know what? Fuck that car. Fuck that apartment. Fuck that home. You know? During Jacob's trouble, you're gonna have the flood come in, Esau's flood, and you know, we may have to go off the grid, you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to go off the grid, and literally we're gonna lose all the comforts that we might be, you know, enjoying right now. We're not gonna have it. So that's why you gotta harden your heart. You don't want to have anything. You don't want to have to trust in Egypt, you know. Let's get that one. That's Isaiah 31 and 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. Alright? That's this modern day Egypt is what? Spiritual Egypt is Babylon America. Alright? Tells you that in Revelation 11:8. And really, I don't even need to read the rest of that. I just wanted to read the beginning of that verse. Isaiah 31 and 1. Woe, meaning destruction, to them that go down to Egypt for help. If you decide that because you haven't been reading, you have been studying, you have been teaching, you break down in that hour of temptation, the hour of provocation, you know, you go ahead and take the RFID microchip, or you go and take the vaccine, you know. Well, now you're guilty of this destruction to you. You're going to Egypt, which is spiritual Egypt, for help. All right, let me just bring it out. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Hamashiach was crucified. All right, Yahushua was crucified here. Why? Because they X'd him out. They made him started calling him Jesus Christ here. You know, they covered the faces of the judges thereof, you know. And this is not physical Egypt and Sodom. No, it's spiritual Egypt and Sodom. So that's why it precepts with that Isaiah 3, was it 15? Or no? Isaiah, or matter of fact, anyway, I just had lost my train of thought. But you can't go down to Egypt for help, man. Woe to you if you do, you know. This Bible is spiritual. You have to see these precepts with a spiritual eye. Otherwise, you won't get it, you know. That's why Yahweh Bashem Yahushai says, unto you it is given, unto them it is not. You see? Not everybody's going to understand this. Not everybody's going to have a spiritual discernment or an ability to spiritually discern these scriptures, okay? Hebrews 3. So it's a great gift that if you're able to, it's a great gift that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has given unto you. You see? Hebrews 3 and 15. While it is said, today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation. For some, when they had heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses, but with whom he had grieved 40 years. Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness? So you see, they fell in the wilderness during the time of Moses, because what? They were getting bit by serpents. They were all kinds of madness. You know what I mean? So Yahweh Bashem Yahushai put many of them to death. In the same fashion, he's going to do that in spiritual Egypt, on a greater level, you see. Verse 18, and to whom sware he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believed not. So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. Alright? So you got your family members right now, they think you went crazy. They think that you're just taking it too far with this truth, and you become this new person. I've had my family. I know I've had my family tell me, "Oh, you became this, this bad person. You call this the truth, and you became because why? Because we're harsh. Because we're not trusting in Egypt. Because we're not gonna go run to the vaccination stand. These motherfuckers have vaccination stands all throughout the city. We're not doing that. We're not going to Esau's testing sites. If we get sick in this time, we're just gonna deal with it. We're not gonna go, oh shoot, I'm gonna go run to the vaccination place to get tested. No, man. If you do that, you're just going against all the work you put into. And the reason why I'm speaking on this subject is because it happened in my family this week. My brother got sick. My brother in the world, he got sick. He's been sick, so finally they're like, oh well, let's go get him tested. And they go and get him tested, and Esau gives him a test, says, hey, you got the COVID, and now they're all freaking out about it. Now when they were listening to me a little bit, but now who are they listening to? They're listening to their daddy Esau. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna be able to endure, So let me close out on that. And like I say, Esau Edom's crafty. He knows how to get you. You couldn't just ride out your cold and say, you know what, I'm gonna get better. You wanted to go trust in Egypt, like I said, 24:13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Alright? So, now let me keep reading one more. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. See? So, we're preaching this gospel to all the nations now, man. And this is the true gospel of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It ain't no gospel of Jesus Christ, alright? That's why the end never came, because Jesus Christ has been preached for probably 1,000 years, give or take, But this truth is now it's going out among all the nations in every kingdom via the internet. And we're telling you what it is, man. You can't trust in Egypt, alright? You have to endure until the end if you want to be saved. If you want to have salvation, you have to endure. And that word endure, we always tell you, it means make yourself hard, alright? So you're not making yourself hard by running to Esau to getting tested to see what he has to say on the matter. All of his, in the first place, his tests are faulty, You could be totally healthy and it'll say that, you have the COVID. I did a lesson a while back where they, a bottle of Coca-Cola or a glass of Coca-Cola tested positive for the COVID, And that's what it is. You're putting your trust in Egypt. You're putting your trust in Esau, and you're putting your trust in his gimmicks and his devices. So, I'm glad that lesson came out the way it did, because it's been on my mind, and it's a testimony, because it's showing not only me but the brotherhood that, hey, our families, they're not going to be built for this. They're going to come against you. Like my family, they were saying, oh, well, you're so uncompassionate, you don't have no compassion on someone when they're sick, and da-da-da-da. And that's not the point. I'm like, hey, no, I wish you weren't sick, but I wish you wouldn't have damn trusted in Esau going over there taking his damn testing device. Because I saw a video a while back where even the test there's a conspiracy out there, and it might not be just a conspiracy, but there's a video out there showing that they even putting shit in your through your nasal via the COVID test. You see, but if you're not diligent, if you're not involved in this truth, your soul's not gonna be converted, man. You're not gonna be able to endure it. You're not gonna have the means to stand firm. All right. So with that, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Ha-Rekah Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. I also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect.